Hello there, everybody. Rockpals recently reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in reviewing a product of theirs. This is their Rockpower 500 portable power station, and I agreed to take a look at this, even though I have reviewed a bunch of portable power supplies in the past. And there's a couple of reasons that I wanted to review this particular product, and I think we'll get into that a little bit later. I think let's start out with just a little overview of the product itself and what comes in the box. So first off, as the name would imply, this is a 504 watt-hour battery supply, and that equals about 40 amp hours. I always think in terms of amp hours, so there's both of those there for you. And it has a 600 watt pure sine wave inverter. In fact, there are two outlets to access the power from the pure sine wave inverter. That's important if you're trying to power a laptop or some kind of critical electronic device. And it also has a regulated 12 volt outlet, which is really nice, especially for things like fridges or TVs. If you're going to run them off of the 12 volt supply, you don't have to worry about the power from that. That's good, clean power there as well. And Rockpals has also included 3 USB ports, which I'm sure all of us use USB for charging a number of things, but my favorite port is this USB-C port, and this is a USB-C PD port. This is the most up-to-date USB-C, and what it means is it delivers the most amount of power to whatever you're trying to charge up. So this is the port that I use mostly. The two devices that I need to keep charged on a regular basis are my phone and my iPad, and those take a little while to charge using a regular USB port. But if I plug in to this USB-C port, I've noticed that my phone and my iPad charge in less than half the time of a regular USB port. So I had to actually go out and get special cables for that. This is the cable that I use for my phone because I use an iPhone. So on one end is a lightning port, and then on the other end is this USB-C port. So this USB-C port has really cut down on my time of waiting around to get my phone charged. Now, when it comes to using the Rockpower 500, it's really easy to use. To turn the unit on, you just long press the power button, hold that for about 2 seconds, and it'll turn the unit on. And then from there, you can turn on any of the ports that you want to use. So like if you were trying to use the pure sine wave ports here, the regular 120 outlets, you just long press on that, and that would energize those ports and you can use them. Now, the cool thing about using the USB-C port is you don't even need to turn the unit on at all. All you have to do is plug in your USB-C cable, and it will recognize that the cable is plugged in and will energize it, turn it on, and you are off and charging. That's a really cool thing, especially because this is the cable that I use mostly. So it's really easy to access the power off of this, but when it comes to charging it up, that's pretty easy to keep it charged as well. Rockpals includes a couple of cables to help with that. Now, they give you a standard wall plug, and this is not something that I have tried because I'm just never around regular indoor 120 volt power, but they do include that. So if you are around regular power, this is probably going to be the easiest way to keep the unit charged up. What I have been using is the included 12 volt cable, and all I do with this is I plug this in, and I basically just leave this plugged into my van, and as I drive around, I get a little bit of charge off of this. As soon as I turn my engine on, it charges this up. Now, I don't do a whole lot of driving. I drive normally less than about 10 miles per day, so I don't get a whole lot of charge on using this cable. So what I like to use is a solar panel, and I'll plug my solar panel straight into this same port. If I'm around anywhere that the sun is shining, portable solar panel out, and I'll just plug it right in. Now, the cool thing is Rockpals has also included this Anderson power pole connector, and this is a connector that I use around my van for my other solar stuff. Because I use Anderson power pole connectors already, that's a pretty handy little added input for me to use. The fact that Rockpals has added this Anderson power pole connector input just illustrates to me that they put a lot of thought into the design of their products. They didn't have to include that, but because they did, it means that this Rockpals 500 is compatible with all kinds of different products. So if you've already got a solar panel from another brand, you could probably use it to charge up this Rockpals pretty easily because of the multiple options there. It's just a nice way of designing products. Not every company does that. Most companies like to make their products with proprietary inputs and outputs so that you're kind of locked into buying from them. And it's kind of refreshing that Rockpals doesn't do that. So at the start of this video, I mentioned that I had a reason that I wanted to review this Rockpower 500. And that's because I've been using another Rockpower unit, and this is a Rockpals Rockpower 300. And this has been my main power source for charging my phone and my iPad on a daily basis. And as you can see, the 500 is just a bigger version of the 300. And these are not terribly light. They're really well made with really high quality components, and so they're hefty little things, but they're easy to move around because of the carry handle on them. If I'm working out of the van, I'll grab this and take it with me. I recently started cutting my hair. I'll use this to run my beard trimmer, and so I found it to be really useful. Really kind of hope to have this as a backup power supply for my fridge. And I have kind of an oversized fridge here in my van, and it runs off of my power supply here in my camper van. But I would really like to have a backup source of power supply that I could run the fridge off of. And this 300 is just not quite big enough to run my fridge, but the 500 is. So I found that I can get about 20 or so hours of run time running my fridge off of the Rockpals 500. Having a backup battery supply that I can use not only to charge my phone, but to use for my fridge in case my main power source goes down, makes a little more sense to me. I've always wanted to have a small power supply like this one, just because I'm tight for space in my van here. Been wanting to try something a little bit different and go with something that could power anything that I would need it to power. So over the last several years, I have tested out a number of these portable power supplies, and I can honestly say that the Rockpals are my favorite. I just have found that they're the ones that I like to use, and so I've been using on a regular basis. So I've mostly been using this 300 watt, but I find that I'm liking the 500 watt just a little bit better. I like having just a little bit more capacity, just because it can run anything that I need it to run. It seems like it makes a little bit more sense for me. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to sell you on buying something, but if you're looking for a battery, just in looking at all of the batteries that I've tested, I do think that, my honest opinion is, I do think that Rockpals makes the best battery as far as quality and features and just ease of use. I will tell you that the little 300 here, I actually left out in the rain about a month ago. It got soaked, and it's still working. It's working just fine. I don't suggest you leave your electronic stuff out in the rain, but I mention that just because I think with maybe some of the other brands that I've used of power supplies, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have fared quite so well. So I've been really happy with the quality of these, and this is my favorite, and this is the one that I will keep using on a daily basis. It just fits my needs a little bit better than any of the others. I also think it's better made than any of the other power supplies I've had, except of course for the 300. It's really just a bigger version of it. So I really highly recommend this, and if you're interested in this, Rockpals is going to be giving me a coupon code, and I don't know what that code is, so once they give it to me, I'll put it down in the description of this video below. Again, I'm not trying to sell you on something. If you need a power supply, I don't think you can do any better than Rockpals stuff, and just for me and my situation and my needs, I think the 500 is the best one I've ever tried, and so I can really highly suggest it. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate it.